All right, it's gone 2 p.m. Central African time. A very good day to you and welcome to Market View, where we delve into Eswatini's business, the heartbeat rather of Eswatini's business landscape. My name is Sifiso Ngumala and it's very, very lovely to be your host even this afternoon. Today, a very, very interesting story on our agenda as we unpack the stories behind the success of our nation's top entrepreneurs. Last Friday, you will remember the Entrepreneur of the Year Award celebrated those who have mastered the art of diversity in business, as well as the critical discipline of paying taxes. Now, with 218 entries this year, it's clear that the competitive spirit is very alive. Not just alive, but it also very well. But what does it take to be a winner? We'll find out as SEDCO's Chief Executive Officer, Kethiwe Mhlanga, had a candid conversation with our very own Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla in what is an exclusive interview, by the way, so you should be grateful for that. It's an insightful conversation that is going to walk us through the journey that brought these entrepreneurs to the forefront. And to round off today's show, we'll decode the latest financial rates with our economist, Sanele Sibia, ensuring that you have all the insights you need to navigate the market. But let's kick off the show with business news. Just 2 minutes into the program, let's look into the business news of the day. Sibusiso Bachis, who is one of the directors of the Datamatics, the overall winner of the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, says entrepreneurship does not come without challenges, but resilience is very important. Bachis was speaking about the company's journey since the establishment 10 years ago. Datamatics won the grand prize, which is a Toyota Baki, which is worth 600,000 emalangeni and 80,000 emalangeni in cash.
One of the directors of Datamatics, Sibusiso Baji, says he was 26 years old when he and his partner Thokozani Gininza started the business, which has seen them scooping the top award at the Entrepreneur of the Year. He says they will use the opportunity to inspire other upcoming entrepreneurs.
Winning the Entrepreneur of the Year to us is Datamatics. It's an incredible honor. We are very, very humble. We thank God and we thank even everyone up to this far that they were supporting us. And it's been a dedication of a hard work from our team. And what we are trying to do is to put into building this business. So it's validates sacrifices and risk taken along the way. So more important, it places a responsibility on us to inspire and uplift others. Mainly as Datamatics, what we also do, we do social responsibility.
He has encouraged owners of small and medium enterprises to pay tax, saying it is in this way they can be considered for big business opportunities.
It is key as a young business to pay tax, and not only SRA, because there's another tax that you need to pay, like ENPF. There's also workmen's compensation for our staff. So yeah, it's not an easy thing, because even if you're applying for any tender, it's one of the requirements.
Baji says part of the projects they have worked on is the networking of 25 clinics working with nature, providing geographic information systems for different stakeholders, and are recently working with Eswatini Electricity Company on a World Bank tender. For Market View, Nelsiwe Ndlangamandla, Siphiwo Sami Gininza, Invumingosi Nzinisa Mbabane.
Turning our attention into the international front, FTSE 100 CEOs experienced a notable increase in average pay in 2023, with expectations for further growth in 2024. Now, the FTSE 100 index also saw early gains driven by a significant surge in BT shares following an acquisition, as well as a positive movement for Diageo. However, JD Sports shares declined after a downgrade. The FTSE 100 has maintained steady growth, proving resilient amid global market fluctuations.
FTSE 100 CEOs saw average pay rise to £4.2 million, over 97 million Amalangeni in 2023, a 2.2% increase from the previous year, with further increases expected in 2024. Meanwhile, the FTSE 100 index gained 0.5% in early trading, buoyed by a 6% surge in BT shares after BOT Global acquired a 24.5% stake. Diego also saw gains following a broker upgrade despite previous struggles in Latin America. However, JD Sports shares dipped after a downgrade. The FTSE 100 has risen 6.3% to date, positioning it as a stable investment amid global market volatility. Following the ousting of Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina due to violent protests, Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus has taken over as Bangladesh's interim leader. The protests, initially driven by student opposition to a government job quota system, grew into a wider anti-government movement due to high youth unemployment and inflation. With nearly half of the population under 30, job creation is a pressing issue. The new government faces challenges in boosting employment, controlling inflation, and reforming weak institutions. The textile industry, vital to the economy, has been severely impacted, prompting deployment of the army to restore order and reopen factories. Reporting international news, Spiosami Ginenza, source from DW, France 24, and VOA.
And that's it for our business news. We go for a net break. Nelson Ndangamandla, our business journalist, sits down with Chief Executive Officer from SEDCO after the break.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Minutes after 2, thank you for staying with us. You're still watching Eswatini TV Market View. Let's go and look into a very insightful conversation between Nelson Ndangamandla and Chief Executive Officer of SEDCO, where they speak on a story that lies on a premise that speaks into the diversity in business, paying taxes as required. One of the things that made big winners during the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards, which took place on Friday last week. SEDCO's Chief Executive Officer, Kethiwe Mhlanga, says about 218 entrepreneurs entered the competition. Now, business journalist Nelson Ndangamandla sits down with CEO for a detailed interview on the journey towards awards.
Congratulations, CEO, for successfully hosting the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards. This year we saw different categories. A number of categories have been added to the awards. What is it that you were looking for this year from the entrepreneurs?
Thank you so much, Nelly. What I can indicate is that this year the event was quite extensive in the sense that we actually increased the number of entrepreneurs that had entered the competition. The ones that managed to qualify in terms of going through to be judged further to see if they can actually win were 218 companies. And with those, of course, we find that differs from region to region. You'll find like Lubombo having maybe 60 applicants, and then you have your Shiselweni having 46 applicants, and then we have the rest being Babane and Manzini also becoming part of the competition. But what we can say this year, what we were really looking for, what we wanted is companies that are actually standing out in the sense that they are being innovative, they are diverse in the manner that they do the business that they are doing, as well as how they are treating their human capital, their employees, because we also look at how many employees you have. the issue as well of business management in terms of your record keeping, your financial management. Those also cater in terms of the criteria that is looked at. So we wanted those businesses that are excelling and which are bringing change as well in our economy. It doesn't help to have a business that is not bringing solution to our economy. So we want those businesses that are bringing solutions, as well as being exemplary, because we want businesses that are going to now be what we will call our ambassadors when it comes to entrepreneurship. They will be showcasing what does it mean to be an entrepreneur, the resilience, the hard work that comes with it, as well as now giving back as well to society.
How did you ensure, CEO, that the selection process was fair?
For us, what we did at SEDCO, first of all, we became neutral as we were not part of the judges. We had our sponsors who had nominated judges to participate in part of the panel. And then, of course, we included the ministry because we have our MSME unit within the Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Trade, so that they would be, at least they know the overall challenges that are faced by MSMEs. And we also had judges coming from the private sector. We have a previous entrepreneur winner. We also had one that is working with entrepreneurs, as well as those working with the youth, as the youth chamber. Also including the investment aspect of it, whereby we included the judges coming from EAPA. Yes. So with that in mind, that means you have diversity in terms of how they are going to look at business. They are going to look at whether the business is dynamic, and they're going to ensure that that business is also, I would say that that business qualify in the sense that it's registered accordingly. It adheres to the laws of the country, because those things matter as well. We have to ensure, are you paying your provident fund for your employees? Are you paying your taxes? You have to be an upholding business, basically, and live according to the legislations of the country.
Speaking of the judges, we know that you faced backlash. I think I saw something on social media where people were complaining that all the judges that you have put forward are males. What are you doing to address the issue of gender equality? We are aware that you added a few females, but what are you doing to ensure gender equality in future?
Absolutely. And on our part, I think we all suffer from human error, I think, simply because on our part, we left the judges to be selected by our sponsors. So when they nominate, we don't normally dispute who they've nominated, but we've had some discussions with some of our sponsors that in future, let's try to ensure that we are more gender sensitive, which is why the ones that were coming specifically from SEDCO, we try to ensure that at least with those we have women as judges, and also catering for the youth as well, because also that matters. We can't have only judges who are already at a certain level, when maybe a youth perspective would be different from someone who has been in the business for more than 20 years, for example.
We saw the different winners, CEO, from the different categories, but we just want to hear from SEDCO what sets them apart from the other entrepreneurs.
They are quite innovative. If you look at their businesses, they're not focused on doing just one thing only. You look at the overall winner at Datamatics, what they are doing right now. It's not only just selling products that are IT in terms of computers, but you also have the GIS aspect of it, which is quite critical now in the space of digital. If you are going to be your Google Maps that you use, you need your GIS for that. If you are maybe planning your town, those maps, you can use your GIS. It's technology which is worthwhile. We see industries that can bank on that. For example, we have the Leap app. It may not be as big as Uber, for example, but with Uber, I think they were able to tap on GIS because now you know when you have the map, you have the streets that you can easily find, so you can pick up a person anywhere and drop him off anywhere. And with GIS as well, it also helps us even if maybe you want to build your house, you'll be able to locate your plot wherever it is. So things like that matter because it brings change in our mindset that from this business alone, something else can grow from it. If I'm serious about entrepreneurship, maybe from it I can actually tap into their services to also start my own business on it. So issues of value chains are also key.
The overall winner CEO is Datamatics, a company that is in the technology space. It reminds me that artificial intelligence is now taking over even the entrepreneurship side. As SEDCO, what is it that you are doing to help entrepreneurs to be able to compete in this space?
When it comes to AI, we can only encourage our entrepreneurs to utilize it, use it to see how it can benefit your company. What opportunities can you gain from it? For us specifically at SEDCO, we have not yet developed a module for them on AI in terms of how best they can utilize it. But through the tradings on our marketing, we have introduced such trends that you can utilize such trends to make your business do better. However, we still have those who still need the nursing because they're all at different levels currently.
It is very encouraging, CEO, to see that SEDCO is doing something, especially on the artificial intelligence sector. What can you say, though, to those who entered the competition and didn't win? What words of encouragement do you have for them?
Regarding our entrepreneurs who didn't qualify and also those who didn't manage to win, what we can say is don't despair. It's just an issue of maybe tackling some few tweaking here and there in your business. SEDCO is always available to assist our entrepreneurs, and we encourage them to please just venture into any of our estates and talk to one of our business coaches. We can assist you in maybe remodeling your business, so we can do your business plan again and remodel it for you, and also identify the gaps that you may be experiencing currently in your business. Sometimes it's something as simple as customer care and word of mouth regarding what you do with your business. So things like that, if you want to engage with us, we will help you to ensure that your business, at least even if maybe you are not winning an award, but it continue to scale up and you do well in your business.
I know it may be too early to ask, but you'll be having the same awards next year. What kind of businesses will you be looking for?
Technology is always encouraged, but we also don't want our entrepreneurs to run away also from agriculture, particularly looking at our economy. We're still a net importing country when it comes to food. We would want to be able to substitute some of that in our economy that we produce from within. But what we definitely want is that value addition. Don't let it be just maybe you are growing a cabbage. Process it. Let it be kimchi. That's a niche market. There are people who definitely want something like that. And let's not all do acha, because all of us, we then do acha and we all do chili. But why can't we go into when you do your cabbage and do your kimchi, which will be exported to other countries, and they love things such as those. Also, we want to see more of our entrepreneurs in the manufacturing sector. Here at SEDCO, I think traditionally it's known for, we have our ladies who are sewing uniforms and the likes. But can we do it in a bigger scale where we give them their own factory and now they venture into designing beyond just uniforms? They can do just normal clothing that can be used every day. Things like that we would like to see happening with our entrepreneurs to grow to that level and not limit themselves to just one product. We also want to see our entrepreneurs not only in manufacturing, but when we talk of manufacturing in the sense that there are things we could do ourselves. We have aloe in the country, which grows wild. We don't do anything with it.
It has been a pleasure, CEO, being with you on the show. We are hoping that the Entrepreneur of the Year Awards will continue to shine a spotlight on the great work that is done by entrepreneurs in the country.
All right, there was a conversation between our esteemed business journalist Nelson Dlangamandla with the Chief Executive Officer of SEDCO, Maiketiwe, speaking on diversity and innovation being the things that lie at the very center of their criteria when they look for the top entrepreneurs. And she's even looking into next year there, giving us a hint of what they'll be looking for, still diversity being one of those very. But let's turn our attention now to the markets and dissect the latest movements across global indices, commodities, as well as currencies, whether it's Wall Street, whether it's Europe, whether it's Asia, or closer to home. These numbers are going to tell us a story, and we're here to uncover all of that for you and what they mean for us. Let's start with the U.S. market. Sanele Sbia joins us via a Zoom video link. The Nasdaq Composite leading the way, Sanele, gaining 0.51% USD, but with the S&P 500 not far behind. Can we expect to carry on throughout the week? Good
afternoon, Mr. Ngumalo, and good afternoon to the viewer. Oh yes, we do expect this momentum to carry on into the week, purely because we are awaiting consumer data to come out this week, consumer expenditure data to come out this week, which is actually going to paint a clearer picture of whether we are going to be on course for interest rate cut in September. But yeah, this is what is driving the markets right now. It's basically a data-driven week with markets across the globe are waiting to see how the US markets are. In terms of the European market is basically from the US economy is going to be in its monetary path, considering the US. If we start seeing some sort of normalization in the US markets, with we're expecting somewhat between 25 and 50% basis points. But right now, markets are somehow betting for 100 basis points cut by the end of the year, which actually is driven by the fact that the US economy data came out to be a bit weak. So that's why the entire global market is actually looking into what is going to happen in in terms of the consumer data that is going to come out of the US this week. But when we come into France, when you look into the French story, there it's still that issue of that that France actually just came out of, until and unless we get a clearer direction in terms of how the government is actually going to work and who is actually going to be leading the government. So that's why we can see France really just pulling behind and lagging behind. When you compare it with the comparator markets, you can see that the UK has actually recouped all the losses that it made last week. Same thing with Germany, almost recouping those losses. Mr. Ngumalo, just France is still lagging behind purely because there's a debt problem and there's also the entire policy uncertainty dynamic that we are seeing there.
Suppose a lot for investors to be wary of going forward in the days ahead. But let's look into the Asian markets. Nikkei surging by 0.56%, and I suppose reflecting strong market sentiment in Asia. Yet the Shanghai Composite Index dipped by 0.14%. What underlying factors are causing this divergence within the region?
So basically what we are looking at, that is telling of the story of the links with the US markets. We can see the Japanese and Hong Kong really just looking forward to more positive data in the US, telling us that there is going to be that rate cut. And we've also seen the Bank of Japan really coming out to ensure that they're able to show up the weakening yen, so that it's been on a relatively stronger position than it was, in the start of the year when they went into this positive interest rate territory. But when you look into mainland, the issue of that mortgage bubble within mainland, it's always an issue that's going to haunt the Chinese economy over the short to medium term, and also the issue of deflation within the Chinese economy. That's why I think the Shanghai Composite really taking a dive in, because we haven't seen this much the consumer confidence going into the market that we expected to see with those that snap interest rate cut, and then also with quite this huge mortgage program that the Chinese government is trying to roll out just to try and prop up the mortgage sector, but it's still really not playing out well there, Mr. Ngumalo.
Really interesting how, that is all signaling potential shifts in their economic landscape. Let's come closer to home in South Africa. Let's look at those markets. The JSE All Share Index seeing a slight dip of 0.13% there. But as South Africa navigates its economic challenges, what sectors are showing resilience, and what does this mean for future market performance?
So what we are seeing there, Mr. Ngumalo, is a story of three things, which are an issue of awaiting the interest rates to come out in the US, and also still awaiting a clearer policy stance from, from the Government of National Unity in terms of where the economy is going. And we've seen them tabling a bit of what we call their economic policy. And then at the same time, when you look into the sectorial balance within that, you can see that it is actually the metals that continue to show up the market. And we actually are waiting to see if Anglo American is actually going to be listing. But there's a very big, listing that might come out this year, which might further show markets up, Mr. Ngumalo.
Very interesting. Let's come home. Eswatini markets. The ESE All Share Index held steady, but without significant movement, really. Now, in a market with limited volatility, what strategies should investors consider to maximize their returns?
So when we come to the issue of the Eswatini Stock Exchange, it's more an issue of the trading platform. It still needs to be automated so that it's relatively easy to trade. And then, like you're saying, we trade more on fundamentals. So what we need now, I think, is an issue of more information about which companies are going to perform better. We just do need to send out this business news to really give signals to investors in terms of which stocks are likely to gain, which are likely to lose, and what are the strategies that these listed companies need to put out there. So we don't see much of that, and I think that does contribute to the lackluster performance of the Eswatini Stock Exchange.
Yeah, I'm looking at the commodities here. I'm seeing that gold is inching up by 0.41%, Brent crude rising by 0.89%. Commodities markets is reflecting global uncertainties. How might these trends impact inflation?
So what we are seeing here, as you've rightly put it, these numbers are really indicative of the geopolitical tensions that we are seeing mounting across the globe. We're seeing a new the Ukrainian incursion into Russian territory, and then we're seeing the Middle East crisis really on a tipping point. We're seeing Iran trying to play to come on board. We're seeing, Israel continuing the onslaught, and that might again start tipping into the Red Sea, and that might cause what should call another supply shock, which the global economy doesn't need right now. So what we're seeing that gold is basically the environment is more conducive for metals like gold because they store value regardless of the volatility in the markets that we've seen in the last 2 weeks. And now then you compound that with these mounting geopolitical tensions, this entire uncertainty, it really does bode well for gold because it's regarded as a precious metal and it stores value. Then again, when you look into the price of Brent crude oil, that again is indicative of the geopolitical tensions and the what we'd call the volatility within the region, where we are all not sure whether we are going to be seeing the ceasefire talks come back onto the table, or we are going to see more of these tensions boiling into a region-wide tension. So that's why Brent crude is inching up, because markets are still trying to really just find their footing in terms of how that conflict is going to pan out.
Well, Senator, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Really appreciate your insights. Would have loved to chime into the currencies as well. There are drops and gains there, a bit of divergence, but we'll connect some other time for that. Thank you so much for staying with us on the program. Naguwe Mbugeli, we've come to the end of the program.